My 4-year-old daughter suddenly exclaimed.
Grandma who passed away is telling us to run away right now.
It was late at night when we were staying at my in-laws' house. I was puzzled and asked, "What do you mean?" My daughter took my hand, urging me to go outside. As she shared her story, I was left speechless. She has always possessed a mysterious ability, and in that moment, fear overwhelmed me. I never imagined that person would be involved in something like this. I've never been more terrified of human beings. Michael, who is 4 years younger than me, and I met when I was 34, and a year later, we got married. We built a house about a 10-minute drive from his parents' place and started our newlywed life.
Olivia, let's be happy together from now on.
He was incredibly kind, and his parents, who raised him, welcomed me warmly. Michael works diligently every day to become the successor to his father's company. To support him, I quit my full-time job and started working part-time with more flexible hours. Then there's my sister-in-law, Sophia, who scoffs and says,
"Working part-time? Aren't you just relying on Michael to take it easy?"
She's never been fond of me since our early days of marriage. Sophia is around the same age as me but enjoys the single life and lives alone. She looks like a career-driven woman, if you ask me. I used to admire her lifestyle and respected her. I even thought that if I had continued working as a full-time employee, I might have ended up like her. Sophia often makes Michael run errands for her.
"Michael, I want some ice cream. You can use the change however you like."
He complies, and it's a common conversation we hear when everyone gathers at the in-laws' house. Sophia has always doted on Michael, and he rarely opposes her, despite being in his mid-30s. As an only child, I sometimes envy their relationship. I wish I could get along with Sophia, I thought. But contrary to my expectations, she often treats me harshly. She was somewhat overbearing and would occasionally visit our home when my husband wasn't around.
"Olivia, there's a hair on the floor."
I've been busy with work today. I was planning to clean later.
"You're just working part-time, right? Stop making excuses and get it done. It's a pity that Michael has to live in such a dirty place."
Sighing, I complied with her demands. As I cleaned, she'd march into the kitchen and help herself to the half-prepared dishes, tasting them without permission.
The flavor is so bland. How can you make something this awful?"
It's not finished yet.
"I wonder why Michael ended up marrying someone like you."
She never bothered to listen to my side of the story, always bringing up Michael's name. And truth be told, I wasn't particularly skilled at housework, so I felt somewhat resigned to her criticisms. However, there were some things I simply couldn't tolerate.
"You only have flashy clothes, don't you? And yet, your underwear is so plain."
She'd open my closet without permission and inspect its contents. "Sophia, please stop." No matter how much I pleaded, she remained nonchalant, often wearing a malicious expression that made me wonder if she enjoyed seeing me uncomfortable. Sophia even checks inside my closet. I've told her multiple times, but it doesn't work. "Can't you talk to her?" I appealed to my husband when he returned home. His response was off-kilter.
Really? Maybe she's just curious about what kind of person my wife is.
Yet, despite our conversation, he took no action. I felt disappointed by Michael's lack of support. Sophia's unreasonable behavior continued even after that. A year into our marriage, when our daughter Mia was born, her actions escalated further. Frustrated by our crying daughter, My sister-in-law glared at me.
She cries so much. It's your poor parenting. And to think you had a girl. Do you even realize you're the wife of the eldest son?
She would make snide remarks about everything, eventually throwing hurtful words, blaming everything on me. My husband should have noticed this, yet he always turned a blind eye. Lately, Sophia's tone has been harsh, and it's honestly tough.
It's your fault, Olivia, so there's nothing to be done. Or are you implying that Sophia is hysterical?
No one said anything like that. He consistently took Sophia's side, refusing to engage seriously. As time passed, my dissatisfaction with Michael grew. Is it okay to continue like this forever? Divorce crossed my mind, but having experienced the loneliness of being raised by a single parent after my own parents' separation, I hesitated. I didn't want my daughter to feel the same way. Despite it all, I endured because my in-laws kindly watched over me. However, I suddenly lost that support. When my daughter Mia was just 6 months old, my mother-in-law succumbed to illness. The shock of her departure left everyone struggling to cope with their emotions.
I'm going to visit Dad because I'm worried about him.
Understood. Let me know if there's anything I can help with. During this time, my husband frequently visited his father's home, leaving me and my daughter behind. Sometimes he returned late at night. I asked about the reason.
Dad feels lonely being alone.
But you see your dad at work too, right? Can't you ask Sophia to help with family matters?
You're quite heartless. Even though Dad is feeling lonely, you're suggesting I leave him?
That's not what I meant. Although I initially expressed my desire for more quality time with our adorable daughter, I realized that parents are important too. I remained silent after that. As time passed, our daughter Mia turned 4. Michael continued his daily visits to his father's house, and his return home was always late at night. I confronted him about his behavior. Michael, you've been busy lately, right? Isn't it difficult for you to keep checking on your dad's well-being? I can go in your place. However, he insisted.
Don't visit my dad's house. Sophia wouldn't like it, and I don't want unnecessary conflicts.
His determination to keep me away from the family home raised suspicions. I decided to defy his instructions and visit my father-in-law myself. To my surprise, my father-in-law welcomed me with a smile.
I've been taking cooking classes and enjoying it.
He said happily. His demeanor was completely different from what Michael had described. And then, my father-in-law accidentally let slip a revealing statement that left me astonished. After a few weeks since that incident, one day, my husband suddenly said,
Why don't we all gather at my dad's house and have a meal?
I hesitated, thinking, but Sophia wouldn't like it if I visited your dad. His unexpected suggestion made me suspicious. He continued.
It's fine. Sophia invited us today. So, are you coming? Hurry up and get ready.
Michael seemed unusually flustered. Despite the difference from our usual routine, I agreed to my husband's invitation, and the 3 of us, my daughter, him, and I, headed to his dad's home. Upon arriving at my in-laws' house, a delightful aroma greeted me at the entrance. My sister-in-law, Sophia, welcomed me with a smile.
Olivia, welcome. I've been preparing dinner while waiting for you.
She ushered me inside, handing treats and toys to my daughter, Mia. Although I had braced myself for her usual snide remarks, Sophia's kindness caught me off guard this time. Still, I remained cautious. I shouldn't let my guard down. Maybe she'll play some culinary tricks to spite me. But my suspicions were unfounded.
Michael told me about your favorite dishes. I hope they suit your taste.
As I surveyed the table, I found an array of my favorite foods. Grateful, I replied. Thank you. Yet, lingering disbelief colored my emotions. Sophia added playfully.
Don't worry, there's no poison or anything.
I never thought otherwise. Then, unexpectedly, Sophia apologized.
Olivia, I've been mean to you all this time. I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope we can get along from now on.
Despite my reservations, I decided against further animosity. I smiled back at Sophia, willing to make an effort to bridge the gap.
Great. Since we're the same age, let's chat about various things. Oh, how about staying overnight today?
But I haven't prepared anything.
You can use my cosmetics. Right? Let's do that. Michael, it's fine, isn't it?
Caught up in Sophia's pace, I had no chance to refuse. I guess this is an important step toward getting along. With that thought, I decided to accept her invitation. Sophia was a great conversationalist, and before I knew it, I was genuinely enjoying our time together. The hours flew by, and the three of us, our family, ended up sleeping in the room with my late mother-in-law's memorial portrait. I must have misunderstood Sophia. From now on, I'll try to be more understanding.
That's great. I'm happy that you two are getting along.
As our daughter slept soundly between us, I drifted off into a dream. However, it was in the middle of the night.
Mom, we need to escape right now. Grandma, who passed away, said so.
Mia suddenly shouted loudly, jolting me awake. Startled by her voice, I sat up. What? What's going on? Despite my grogginess, I sought confirmation from my daughter. Since my mother-in-law had passed away when Mia was around 6 months old, she shouldn't remember anything. I wondered if Mia was still half asleep, but her eyes were wide open, and she wore an anxious expression.
If we stay like this, we'll be killed.
Mia tugged at my hand, urging me to leave the room. As I glanced to tell my husband about the situation, he wasn't there. He should have been asleep. Where could he have gone at a time like this? But I couldn't dwell on that now. I chose to trust Mia's words and escape. Actually, my daughter possessed a mysterious power. When my friends were all pregnant one after another, she accurately predicted the gender of each baby in their bellies. She also warned me when Michael was about to get injured. Michael did indeed hurt himself by slipping on the stairs, but luckily, it was just a minor sprain. However, since that incident, both Michael and Sophia started avoiding Mia, saying she's creepy. It's natural for some people to feel that way, so we decided to keep this power a secret between Mia and me.
Grandpa needs to escape with us too.
Mia stopped in front of her grandfather's room, entered, and gently shook him awake.
Grandpa, wake up. Quickly.
We'll explain later, but please come with us and escape. Startled by our urgent voices, my father-in-law jumped up, though he seemed puzzled by the situation. Despite his initial hesitation, he eventually agreed to go outside after hearing Mia say.
Grandma told us to.
When we reached the entrance, I noticed that my husband and sister-in-law's shoes were strangely missing. Furthermore, there were no cars in the parking lot, neither of theirs. Could it be that what Mia said is related to both of them? We decided to walk back to my house, but while it would take only 10 minutes by car, On foot, even for adults, it would be over an hour. I called my mother and asked her to pick us up. As we arrived in front of my house in my mother's car, I noticed that the lights were on inside. And to my surprise, Michael and Sophia's car was parked there too. Mom, I hate to ask, but can we stay at your home tonight? I had an uneasy feeling, and entering the house as it was might be dangerous. And so, we sought refuge at my mom's house. That night, my mind and eyes remained wide awake, and I couldn't sleep. As the morning dawned, I couldn't shake off the meaning behind my daughter's words. So, I borrowed my mother's car and went alone to my in-laws' house. To my shock, the grand, imposing house that had stood there just a few hours ago was now reduced to charred remains and skeletal framework. Wait! This can't be real! Several fire trucks, police cars, and ambulances lined up in front of the in-laws' home, surrounded by curious onlookers. On the other side of the yellow tape, Michael and Sophia were speaking with police and firefighters, explaining the situation. I slipped into the crowd of bystanders, hidden from their view, and observed the unfolding scene. After a while, some of the emergency vehicles departed, and the onlookers dispersed. The once crowded area in front of the house now stood empty. Hiding in the shadow of a nearby car, I listened to my husband and sister-in-law's conversation as they stood outside the taped-off area, gazing at the charred remains of our once grand house.
It really went up in flames.
The useless Mia and Olivia should be dead by now. They won't be of any help.
If they survive this, it's a miracle. Once things settle down, I'll remarry my affair partner and make her child the legitimate heir to this house.
The horrifying words echoed in my ears, leaving my legs trembling so much that standing became a challenge.
Since Dad probably kicked the bucket too, the inheritance is ours. And the company will be mine soon.
Michael and Sophia exchanged laughter as they discussed their sinister plans. What terrible people! I can't forgive them. Fueled by fear and anger, my entire body shook. Before they could return to my home, I hurriedly drove back to my home, retrieved my belongings, and returned to my mom's home where my daughter and father-in-law awaited. And there, I shared the events from earlier at the in-laws' house with my father-in-law. There's something you need to know.
Oh my. How could this happen? I absolutely cannot forgive it.
His face twisted with shock and rage, and together, we decided on revenge against my husband and sister-in-law. That evening, I left Mia with my mother and stood outside my home's front door with my father-in-law. I reached for the intercom, but then I hesitated. This was my own house. There was no need for that. Instead, I decided to open the front door myself. As I fumbled with the lock, I heard a rattling sound, and Michael cautiously peeked out from inside.
What?
His face turned pale, and he retreated back into the room. Soon after, he returned with Sophia in tow.
Why, are you here?
She too looked ashen, muttering those words. But when she noticed our gaze, she suddenly clung to my father-in-law, feigning relief.
Thank goodness you're alive. We couldn't find any trace of you, and they said they hadn't found anything in the burnt ruins. We were so worried.
Yeah. I've been praying that you all were safe.
Michael also played along, hugging me tightly. I pushed his arms away and distanced myself from my husband. Hands off. Through Mia, your mom helped us.
Mom? But she passed away 4 years ago.
Exactly. Don't spout nonsense. Are you going to talk about Mia's mysterious abilities again? It's truly unsettling.
Both of them furrowed their brows and vehemently denied Mia's words. Well, fine. Let's go inside for now. After all, this is my house too, and your dad is here. I pushed them aside and ushered my father-in-law into the house. As we entered the living room, Michael, who had followed us, placed a hand on my shoulder and said,
Wait.
"Didn't I tell you not to touch me so casually?"
Oh, Olivia, are you having a hysterical moment? Maybe your hormones are out of balance? This is why women in their 40s get a bad reputation.
Sophia smirked, mocking me as usual. Gone was the meek demeanor from the previous day's apology. Her true nature, overflowing with malice, revealed itself, even in the presence of my father-in-law. "That's enough to make anyone angry. This fire incident was orchestrated by you two, siblings, isn't it? ! I stared at my husband and sister-in-law, hitting the nail on the head.
Wait, there's no evidence to say something like that. It's impossible.
Despite his anxious denial, Michael stood firm. Meanwhile, Sophia seemed composed, almost nonchalant.
Olivia, really? Suspecting your own family? Something must be wrong with you. Being raised by a single parent, you lack that kind of affection.
But I'm saying this because there's evidence. I overheard you both talking about the burnt house early in the morning. As I spoke, I glanced back and forth between the two of them.
Huh? Eavesdropping, much? And besides, hearing a story from such a chaotic place, there's no credibility.
Yeah, what Sophia said. The police won't buy into vague stories like that.
Sophia, boldly and unyielding, and my husband, who hid behind her, retorted. This dynamic must have been consistent since long ago. Is this your voices? I pulled out my smartphone from my pocket and played the recorded audio. It captured the conversation between the two of them from that morning.
Why are you doing this?
When Mia woke me up in the middle of the night, and neither you nor Sophia were there, I became suspicious. I wasn't sure if I could record it properly, but I had it running. Though there was some distance, it was clear enough that the voices belonged to them. Confronted with the audio evidence, Michael and Sophia fell silent. I'll submit this to the police. Surely they'll believe it.
Wait a minute. You all escaped unharmed, so there's no issue.
What are you saying? You put us in a life-threatening situation, and your dad's home ended up like that. This is a crime. Do you understand? Growing more agitated, I confronted my husband's absurd statements. Sophia, this applies to you too. You must pay for this wrongdoing.
Don't get cocky. You wretched woman.
She launched an attack, her hostility toward me evident, but I couldn't waste time arguing with her. Here we go, I said, taking a deep breath and locking eyes with the two of them once more. By the way, what do you mean by waiting for the heat to die down and then remarrying your affair partner, legitimizing a hidden child?
Well,
Michael seemed caught off guard by the direct questioning and stumbled over his words, eventually falling silent. You thought you could just stay quiet when it became inconvenient? But there's evidence. This woman, right? I confronted them, brandishing a photo I'd pulled from my bag.
Ha! Wait, why did you investigate this so thoroughly? Sophia, What do we do? We're caught.
He turned to his sister, seeking help in his panic. But Sophia merely glared at me without offering any assistance. Perhaps that lack of support drained Michael's resolve, leaving him deflated. Actually, I had suspected my husband's infidelity for some time and gradually conducted my own investigation. On that morning, I hurriedly retrieved the evidence I had collected.
How long have you known?
Well, it started when you said you were checking on your dad, and your returns home became consistently late.
From that long ago.
But I became certain when your dad told me something. Michael had warned me not to show up at his dad's house, but I defied that order one day. My father-in-law had shared something with me, a statement that,
Only you would visit my home.
for me, who thought Michael was merely making frequent visits to his dad's house, it was shocking. Although the photo includes Sophia, it seems your affair has her approval, Michael? I confronted them, thrusting the evidence in their faces.
Humph. So what? Isn't it your fault for being cheated on? You lack any charm.
Clearly, she was aware of this situation as well. Among the evidence I had gathered were photos showing the gradual growth of the affair partner's pregnant belly and, most recently, images of Michael and the affair partner strolling with their baby.
Olivia, it's not what you think. There's a valid reason.
Suddenly, my husband changed his tone, attempting to justify himself. Just as I was about to push them away, my father-in-law, who had silently observed the situation until now, stood up and positioned himself like a guardian in front of my husband and Sophia.
What are you both doing? Bullying Olivia, engaging in infidelity, and even endangering our lives. What's your intention?
His furious tone left my husband and sister-in-law speechless.
Dad, listen to me. It's all Sophia's fault. She introduced me to that woman in the photo just because she didn't like Olivia.
You were always complaining about your wife too. So, I mediated between you and that woman.
Nobody asked you to do that. Besides, it was you who said our daughter, Mia, couldn't be the heir because she's a girl.
But that's true. Dad, you agree with me, right? And don't worry, the child in the photo with that woman is a boy. Our lineage is secure.
Michael and Sophia argued, debating who was at fault. Through their exchange, the reason for my sister-in-law's animosity toward me became clear. She, who is the same age as me, couldn't understand why I was happily married with children while she faced a string of rejections and remained single. Her envy of my apparent happiness fueled the years of mistreatment I endured. Sophia, desperate to break up my marriage, used her compliant brother to impregnate her affair partner with a baby boy. This is outrageous. It's beyond cruel. I thought, my anger welling up again, my clenched fist trembling uncontrollably.
Enough of this.
My father-in-law shouted, and both of them fell silent. Their demeanor resembled that of chastised children shrinking before an angry dad.
Olivia, I truly apologize. I've raised such foolish individuals, and I bear responsibility.
My father-in-law apologized repeatedly, and I offered him my best smile. Without hesitation, I turned to Michael and fixed him with a stern gaze. We need a divorce, I declared, handing him the divorce papers with my section already filled out.
This saves us the trouble of negotiating. We'll officially welcome the affair partner's child as the heir.
Sophia snatched the papers from my hand before Michael could even react, dancing with apparent delight.
Yeah, that settles it.
Michael echoed in the same tone as Sophia.
Heir? Ridiculous. As long as I'm alive, you won't get your way.
He glared at them.
Dad, what are you saying? Isn't this a cause for celebration?
Sophia's eyes sparkled.
Sophia, I sever all ties with you. Don't ever cross my path again. Michael, the same goes for you. You're fired from the company.
And so, my father-in-law delivered his verdict to the two of them.
Wait a minute. Without me, the company would collapse. Is it okay to do this?
Exactly. If you sever ties with us, you'll be all alone. And what about the inheritance?
Their concerns ultimately revolve around money. Upon hearing this, my father-in-law's expression momentarily revealed a hint of sadness.
You're both strangers to me now. The company and the inheritance are irrelevant.
What?
Sophia erupted in anger, while my husband, flustered, tried to reason with his father.
Dad, reconsider.
He shook his father's shoulders, pleading.
The heir will be Mia, my grandchild who saved our lives.
With that declaration, my father-in-law let out a heavy sigh.
Wait. Mia is my child, so I might still get a share of the inheritance, right?
Michael grinned, asking me an audacious question. In this situation, I couldn't help but question his nerves. She doesn't want to see you. After everything that's happened, she's scared, and there are hardly any memories between you. I replied firmly.
But I'm her father. I won't allow it.
Nevertheless, this is the result of your inaction over the past 4 years. After the divorce, I'll respect our daughter's wishes and won't allow visitation.
I don't want that. I don't want a divorce. Olivia, please.
Michael wailed loudly, clinging to me.
Olivia, I apologize for everything. Please convince Dad to reconsider.
Even Sophia, seeking mediation, pleaded with me. Although you two might be preoccupied with divorce and estrangement, both of you need to go to the police now regarding the fire incident. Do you understand?
Please don't involve the police. I'll be a better husband and dad. I won't let Sophia manipulate me anymore. Let's start anew as a family of 3.
Seriously, don't bring the police into this. What about my hard-earned career?
Even though they've come this far, they seem to only think about themselves and say whatever they want. Enough! Reflect on your actions and make amends. I firmly rejected them, pushing them away. Michael and Sophia mumbled in response, collapsing to their knees. Afterward, I took my husband and sister-in-law to the police station and submitted the audio evidence. Both of them confessed, and they were arrested in connection with the recent fire incident. The divorce with Michael was finalized, and he agreed to pay $20,000 in alimony for the affair, along with monthly child support of $400 for our daughter, Mia. Since he'll be behind bars for a while, I intend to collect those payments when he's released. As a bonus, I also received a tidy $7,000 in compensation from the affair partner. Sophia faced the same fate, with her conviction confirmed. She lost her job, of course. Abandoned by her father and separated from the brother she doted on, she's now all alone. Well, it's a consequence of her own actions. My father-in-law, with whom I still maintain contact, is determined to keep working until Mia becomes the heir. Our daughter is enthusiastic about becoming the president of a grandpa's company. These days, life is peaceful, and I feel truly happy.
How did you find this story? If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing to our channel. Until next time.